Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and this week I talk about a game that I finished on my other channel a few weeks to about a month and a half ago, and that was Legend of Dragoon. And I said this much when I was playing it, and I believe it even more, that I don't regret playing it, but at the same time, I could have made a better decision of playing something else. Because much like, say, Breathfire 2 and Secret of Mana, I was left frustrated by it, having played it. And a lot of it has to do with the way that games are made now versus the way games were made 20, 25 years ago and what was considered tolerable. And, the changing of it and my changing perspectives on things and just the way things for late PlayStation games were made and why this not being a remaster but a port really did a disservice to the game. You would think that something newly made would have been a better wholesale experience. As the game stands, it's solid enough, I guess, but frustrating from a mechanic standpoint. So that's what I get to talk about. But as far as the story goes, I didn't really have any issues with the story, but I'm not gonna sit here and say I was overly enthusiastic either. Like, none of the main villains were all that interesting. The characters, I would say Dart and Rose were the most interesting, but everybody else was different shades of cliche or, just there. Even though I liked Maru, I don't think a lot of people's stories were as fleshed out as they could have been. And, the game tried to balance them, sure, but again, this is a game that had a lot of kind of issues holding it back. And, the reality is it's Dart and Rose's game. Shauna to an extent, but even she just feels more of a damsel in distress, and it's very kind of bleh. But what can you do? So, the story being is what it is. Got a nation of Serdio being attacked and constantly under attack by Emperor Dole. And he burns down a village, finds this girl named Shauna, and then Dart and other people have to go save them. They find people and they keep going. Rose gets involved a little later. Other people get involved in the war. And when they go after Shauna and others again, they have to go after King Albert. Lavit, who was saved, sacrifices himself, and it doesn't work out so well. They pull a bait and switch with characters, but realistically, like, Albert just takes over. I didn't feel much for it, which is unfortunate. Like, a lot of the story is just because it's in text form. It didn't really hit me, and I don't think because the characters weren't that great. I don't think anything like a character sacrificing themselves was very important. Lloyd and Lennis were there. A lot of it was, this person's the main villain. No, this person's the main villain. No, it's this person. And, we have a final boss. Okay, whatever. I'm like, seems kind of cheap. Kind of in the same way that Final Fantasy VIII has that, like, here's the main villain you're going after. Oh, wait, no! We have a different one, and they never get seen until the end of the game. Oh, dear. Oh, dearie me. Unlike, say, Kuja, who, for the majority of, say, Final Fantasy IX, was the main villain, and until they swiped us at the very final boss, was pretty much the guy. Say Final Fantasy 15. He, when you have a villain that has kind of earned the ire, it makes sense. When you also try to, this person was just misunderstood, But this one was the true main bad guy. I think they tried to do that thing. They were trying to learn. Like, the biggest thing for me was Rose holding the game together, because Dart is interesting in the sense that like he's committed and kind of under the surface he's like bubbling with rage and stuff, but like his story is only so interesting. Rose, being a person who has lived for 11,000 years, the air of mystery surrounding her and what she's trying to do never seems to let up. And her constant fight of, can I let go? Can I stop regretting? Can I find my way through this? That's kind of the driving force of the game for me, because most of the other characters just kind of exist around her, because she's the one where she's going to tell you what's going on, because she knows everything. She realizes, okay, here's this happening, this dragon's fighting this thing, this is why. She's the one with the narrative importance. She's in the Orin role. She knows everything that's going to happen, but can't say it, because God knows what'll happen to her if she does. But then she's learning some things as well, and how that affects her matters. You know, because you're going around to different cities and different areas all through the discs, and you're doing different things. You're learning about the Dragoons and the Winglies and all the other races that were created. You know, the game tries its best right around Leningrad to kind of fill in, like, you were, you know, this 100th whatever person, like, set of beings from the creator Soa, from this divine tree, which was not really a tree. It's just a giant freaking set of roots that just span. It's a weird fucking looking tree. It's not the standard tree that I remember. Not even a giant tree. It's just a bunch of roots. But they call it a tree. And then the city that never, or the moon that never sets, they keep making a big deal out of it, and it just kind of plops on the tree, and you're fighting the thing. But again, it's a lot of like, this guy's the real bad guy. And I'm like, okay, well, can I get some emotional moments with that person? Can I explain what? No, we gotta talk about the final boss and then do the fight. Like, it seemed like the game was in no particular hurry to finish itself up, and yet had to at the same time. It was trying to slowly build a lore and build a thing with the characters in the game, but at the same time, by the time they had this lore dump, they were like, well, yeah, but no. We have other things. You're going over here, you're going over here, you're going over here, you're going over there. When put in a microcosm of, you're just saving the world, just go. Like, okay, I guess that's fair. Like, the world's going to end by some means and somehow, and Shauna is involved. Okay, got it. Shauna's a damsel in distress. Go save her. Do it. Okay. I think there was untapped potential left by everyone who wasn't Rose. And to an extent, Maru and Dart. Everybody else is just kind of left by the wayside. Like, they even bring in Miranda to save Shauna, sort of, and have her own story, but she shows up fairly late in discs, early in disc 3, and barely just, she's Shauna's replacement, and she even has her same moveset. And it's like, what? It's stupid. A lot of the characters, like, well, who is Hashel's daughter? Why do I care about Hashel's daughter? I have to fight Hashel's daughter? Why am I fighting Hashel's daughter? What the fuck? Where is Kongo? What is he doing? Why is he here? He's a giant who says Kongo mad. Some people are just there. I was getting Final Fantasy IX vibes from a lot of the characters, to where it's like half of them have some relevance to the plot, the others do not. And to be fair, it's almost as if like 2 people at most have relevance. The secondary characters, like Albert, maybe, and Maru, maybe, but 3 of the characters could have been done away with and you'd have lost nothing. Dart, Shauna, Rose, Albert, and Maru, you probably would have had them and it would have been just fine. But I guess they needed to fill out the party. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that because certain characters maybe weren't fun to play as. Well, Shauna and Miranda sure weren't, but there's a reason that in-game mechanically that would have been a terrible move. But I'm just saying this as somebody, again, I have been more into the characters. I like being into characters. I don't care about how cool they are to play as. I need them to be good as a character. And if I don't feel that they're bringing enough to the party, I do feel left out. And again, that Final Fantasy IX comparison where you have like the 4 or 5 main characters and they're very strong, and then like 3 or 4 of them are either forgotten or just exist to be a job class. It does seem kind of sad. As far as the fighting goes, Dragoon does do something different. You have your standard elements. In this game it's 6 plus an almighty, but the way you fight is unique, and I do like it, and it's got some talent, but it's let go, or it's let down by a lot of things that exist in it too. So in battle, you have your standard attack, but when you attack, you press buttons in a rhythmic fashion, and you're trying to follow the screen, but you're also trying to follow the prompt on the side too. And I always struggled, especially with certain ones like Maru and Rose. I did okay, but almost nearly everybody else, I couldn't get their end game shit for shit. But you level up by the times you do them. If you hit an addition 20 times perfectly, they level up and they gain more attack damage per a finished combo, a percentage increase, or you get an amount of SP for your Dragoons. Your Dragoons are your skills, and you can use your MP. So you use your SP to get turns for Dragoons. You can get up to 5 turns as a Dragoon, and then use specific skills. I was using Dart, Rose, and Maru. So Dart focused on fire attacks exclusively. Rose focused on death stuff, but she did have a healing drain attack, which was handy early until you get Maru, who, despite having lack of attack power, she's very fast and can do fun stuff with her heals, and she's got ice and water attacks, and she filled out the party pretty well. Everybody else, other characters fit other things. The only other character I would say had interesting addition would have been Lavit / Albert, where you can do, I think it was Rose Storm, where you can have the damage of any attack like the enemies do for about 3 turns. So it's a good defensive option. I went with Maru because I needed the heals. You can also heal or attack using items, and each item is an element, or you can heal. So healing items are about 50% HP or 50% HP to the whole party, or full HP to the party. Or you can, use life stuff. You can heal both mind or body ailments. There's also bullshit where the enemies can just destroy you with can't combat, which is their form of instant death, which is a pain in the ass. Because, the thing that lets this game down more than anything is the limited inventory. They go for 32 things, both cure items and attack items, and repeating items. There are repeating items, which are handy, buffing your stats or decreasing stats of enemies for a few turns. That stuff's nice. Like late game, if you get the Psych Bomb, you can use it 1 time per battle. Like if you get the right Psych Bomb, you get it 1 time per battle for the rest of the game, and it does a shitload of damage. I mean, that's kind of neat, but it's still taking up a piece of inventory. And, enemies will sometimes drop items and whatnot. And I think because they made it so that cure items were very good and whatnot, you can't just spam potions. Or that if you use a certain elemental attack on a one who's weak, it will do a lot of damage. And sure, I guess that's their balancing point. It's got a boost mechanic, So the boost mechanic from Final Fantasy VIII is used to power up attack items, and that's another point in the battle system's favor. Guarding is cool because it halves the damage and it heals you about 10%. It also evades status effects or status effect moves so that you can't get hit by the statuses. I've never seen a guard thing heal you. That was kind of neat. Another thing was the addition of accessories, and accessories can really change the tide of battle. Like, the therapy ring can heal you for as much as a guard can, and if you put it on somebody like Maru, who's very fast, they keep healing and can keep doing things. Or you can do other cool effects. You can just buff your stats into a certain way. You can limit certain things. Some of the items are like ready-made, I'm fucking destroying this game and I'm going to beat it right away. Like the Armor of Legend, or Legendary Cask are just ways to just nope damage. And it's useful for specifically one fight in the game where the super boss is ridiculously strong, and if you don't have those items, you're pretty much fucked. But they're expensive, and they're expensive for a reason, because they trivialize some parts of the game where, like, you get 50% damage reduction, or not even damage reduction, you get 50%, like, agility and evasion against a certain attack type. So an enemy whose focus is primarily on magic or attack, corresponding armor, you can kind of nope their entire thing. So that is a thing that the game has in its favor, is that you can kind of control how hard of a game you want it to be, because you're not going to be able to level. It does the Chrono Cross sort of thing where it only lets you level up after boss fights. In a different way. Like, the leveling up, you can level up, but you can only grind so much. Almost all of your experience is going to be from boss fights. So Chrono Cross did it from gaining stars after boss fights. This game focuses on experience after boss fights. So that's their way of controlling, like, how far ahead of levels you are. So you're not really grinding in the game unless you have to, which you don't. But, I still used some of the items, the specialty items, to just say nope to this fucking game, and I didn't regret it. Because it can be frustrating sometimes. But what really sets this game apart can also be its downfall sometimes, because it was made in the early 2000s, very early 2000s, like late game PS1. And Final Fantasy IX, Chrono Cross, and this all suffer a lot from overclocking the PS1 and trying too hard, and it's slowing the game down to a goddamn crawl. And battles are slow, animations are slow, characters talk every goddamn time. There's no short function to shorten animations outside of the first one that you do. But if you do, say, Astral Drain, you're going to be watching that Astral Drain animation every single fucking time. You're going to be seeing these animations every single fucking time. So you're going to be watching these so many fucking times. There's also no exit spell. So anytime you beat a dungeon, you have to walk your ass out of it, and by and large, or walk to a different exit. But if you're stuck and you don't know where you're going, the random encounter bar is constantly going. So there's no Moogle Charm, there's no Charm Bangle, there's no toggle, there's no nothing. There's no exit spell. If you want to get out of a place, you have to get the fuck out of it. So a lot of the times I had to, like, off camera, go from one place to the next because I just didn't want to be on fucking camera going through the same areas over and over, trying to beat a fucking level, trying to get out of it. Because this was a port, they didn't consider, oh, hey, here's the fast forward feature, here's the whatever, here's the auto battle, here's the, these things that we take for granted now, or they're baked in practically every game since Bravely Default. And again, I'm not saying Bravely Default was the first one that ever did no random encounters. It could have been something else. But, like, it was the one that was, like, from the beginning of the game. You press a button, boom. And it's not even, like, no pad foots, no holy protections, no exits, no nothing. Not even, Breath of Fire Breath of Fire 2 had the exit spell that worked 5% of the dungeons, but at least it worked when they let you fucking use it. This game has no exit spell. You're random encounters. You're spending half your runtime going through the dungeons again. Better hope and pray that you're not annoyed by it, especially if you miss something. I was in that Valley of Corrupted Gravity forever because I got stuck. And I felt really fucking shit because I didn't know where the fuck to go, and I kept having to edit it out. These are things I did not know because I did not play the game before doing it. And this is one of those things that I wish I had done. I watched a couple people play it, but I hadn't played it myself and ingrained it in me. So not knowing these things beforehand, or not knowing that the final dungeon was kind of long, not in the Final Fantasy 3, Breath of Fire 2 sort of boring way, but in its own weird way. I kind of just wanted the game to be over, and the animations just being slow really fucking wore me down after a while, because I wanted to like the game for what it was and what it was doing well, but having a limited inventory, which means, you didn't have to buy much, and they didn't really have you spend much. Like, none of the things were expensive, but having a low inventory just doesn't feel right anymore. That was a holdover from the NES era and early SNES that really wasn't a thing in most games anymore. If it was, they did it in a Tales game where you have 15 of each item. A limited inventory that was spacious enough to not be... I also felt the additions, were fiddly. Like, if I don't know how to do an addition, well, fuck me, I suppose. Like, sorry, I'm not good enough for your rhythm game. And even what's more frustrating was one of the mid-game accessories was automatic additions. I thought this was a godsend until I realized that the automatic addition does not buff your counter to get to the next level, so it doesn't add to the 20. If you use an automatic addition for max damage, it's stuck where it is, which is fine if you beat the thing, don't want to be fiddly with it anymore. But if you're trying to level up a thing, you have to do it manually, and if I suck at doing the thing, well, I'm kind of fucked. Some of Lavitt's and Albert's things were terrible. It was Rod Typhoon or Gust of Wind Dance, one of the two. That was bad. Some of Dart's were bad. Like, the only one I really had a good grasp on was Maru's, because they were short. But it's still fiddly timing every time I'm trying to play it, and I'm just not equipped for that sort of thing. So, sucks to be me, I guess. There was no other way around it. Unlike Sea of Stars, which said, okay, you can't really guard, well, we'll give you a thing that can auto-guard for you in terms of a toggle, as a quality of life change, so that I didn't feel like I was punished for not being able to rhythm game in a game that's not a rhythm game, But yeah, those things are there. I mean, other small things are silly, like the voice acting in the major cutscenes is like early to late PS1 era kind of bad, Like, some of it's okay, and then there's other times where it's just like some of these characters are not good. So, no, it's not Metal Gear Solid. It's in the Xenogears framework of, yeah, because that's what it was like before the early PS2 and like mid PS2, where it started to become, oh, I can trust you to mostly be good voice acting. It was pretty bad. To be fair, it wasn't full game, so I guess I wasn't that annoyed. It only happened, like, what, 5 or 6 scenes? And I'm not, again, not every voice actor was bad. It just was, it was very cheesy, which sucks because when the full motion videos cutscenes were there, they actually looked pretty fucking good for a PS1 game. They were some of the best ones. I would still say something like Chrono Cross had the best looking ones because they were fantastical and just had bright colors and everything. But, you know, just the way everything moved in Legend of Dragoon in those sequences was good. I just wish the voice acting would have been up to snuff as well. And the other issue is Shauna and Miranda. Like, everybody gets additions except those two. They get one arrow shot. Like, why do they not get additions? You, like, automatically gain a level with, you know, you have to kind of get around it by giving them SP charge if they take damage or something from an accessory. That's the only way that's going to work, because if they run out of it, if they can't do SP, you're left with one arrow shot every single turn or using items. Those characters are built to be item users and healers, but still, it does seem kind of weird that all the other characters can use these fancy additions, and you're just going pew, pew, pew. It just doesn't add up. So I never really used them. It doesn't help that Shauna, being a main character, is missing most of the game. So if you like using her, she's not even there half the time, and Miranda only shows up in disc 3, so you're just kind of SOL. If you decided to use the healer in the party, you're better off just using Maru as your healer, because she gets rainbow breath and Shauna doesn't. You know? So Dragoon was fine, but frustrating. It really sucks. You know, it sucks because I wanted to like Dragoon, but a lot of the issues surrounding it, you know, even, how do I say this? A lot of, like, my YouTube structure and mindset is I play a game to be done with it. I'm never playing that game again, unless I'm really, really desperate. But I've never touched Persona 5 since I played it 5 years ago. I've never played Persona whatever, you know. I have not touched Final Fantasy VI in a gaming sense other than a randomizer. When I beat these games, whether I do full completion or super bosses or not, like, I want to be done with them and set as a monument and be done with the thing. But there's still that sense that, like, if I liked a game enough, I would want to replay it someday or watch somebody replay it because I love that game so much. This is one of those where I felt, I don't really like you anymore. And it was a death by 1,000 cut, and I got towards the end of the game, and, like, the last episode, like, all of my complaints were just starting to get there, and I just want this game to be over with standard, I want this game to be fucking over. Which is not the best endorsement, especially of a game that is very rare and it was only really ported to the PS4 like 20 years later, 25 years later, and not even given a remaster. Like, if they wanted to remaster it with all the quality of life, I think it would work a lot better. You know, do the Dragon Quest 3 kind of thing where, yeah, it looks better and does things better, like auto battle, but, you know, the pixel remasters. The pixel remasters of the Final Fantasy games, like, completely transform a lot of the issues that would have persisted if you'd made an OG version. But because this is the OG version, you have to judge it based on that. And me, as a person in 2025 playing Legend of Dragoon, I didn't really enjoy it. I wanted to enjoy it, but I didn't. And that's why I can't recommend playing it. It's a curiosity, but, like, unless you are not bothered by those issues, like, more power to you. Like, if you put up with old school games and think that's part of the design and, like, that's how they should be played and that's great, sure. If they're never a bother to you, that's great. But if you're coming into this blind and you've been playing anything for the past 15, 20 years, this is going to seem anachronistic and not in a good way. Just the encounter toggle alone would have solved an issue. I'll throw in an example. Legend of Mana. When I play the original Legend of Mana, if I got stuck in a dungeon, I'd have to backtrack and fight everything on my way. And I've had one of the Tower of Layers or Layres or whatever they call it, the one you climb up and up and up and up and you use the teleporters and shit. I spent an hour doing that dungeon. In the new version, with the random encounters taken away, I beat it in 15 minutes. No sweat. It's like I was able to just go everywhere, do everything, get it done. You know, any dungeon that was a fiddly problem with backtracking, I got done with. This game, I get stuck in a dungeon, I fail something that I forget to do, I'm traipsing back and forth and doing things again. And then I'm forced to fight everything again. And do it all over again and see the same stuff over and over. There's no quality of life to be found in this game, and it's a death by 1,000 cuts. So it's a curiosity of its time. And not in an exciting way either. Outside of Rose and Dart, I didn't find anybody I was interested in as a character. Maru was a fun, carefree character with some story moments, but she's not, like, integral to the plot the same way Shauna is meant to be, or Rose definitely is, or Dart as your viewpoint character and main character are, and everybody else just kind of, you know. So there's just things about it that really frustrated me. So again, would I recommend playing Legend of Dragoon now, back in 2000, or ever? No. Honestly, no. Because if this was the 2000 or 2001 version of me, I didn't play it. The 2025 version of me, I played it, and I didn't enjoy it. Or I got, like, 20 episodes into it, and then I started to hit a stride where I was just, okay, I'm doing it because I'm on YouTube. And then right around episode 65 to 70, I'm just like, I want this fucking game over with now. That's not how you want the games to end. That's not a policy that I endorse. You should like a game either at the start or at the end. And even if you feel I just want this game to be over, it should never come to you as a realization that, oh my god, what have I been doing? I don't like this, and I've been playing this forever. So, yeah. So anybody claiming that I love everything I play on my channel, well, sometimes I don't. But anyway. So, August 30th, Solty Rei. September 13th is Nier Automata, speaking of games I hated, and, well, anime I loved. So that's gonna be fun. But I'm gonna get so destroyed for that, I swear to Christ. Illusion of Gaia, September 27th. And October 11th is going to be Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. Every other week in between that is going to be the usual anime reviews. So, that'll do it for me today. And I'll see you guys next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.